number of months after I was baptized in the Spirit, this was back in 1967, after I'd been to Duquesne and was prayed over there, I began to start thinking about being led by the Spirit. I knew there was something new in this whole movement that we'd become involved in. I knew that part of what it must mean is knowing in a more direct, immediate way what the Lord wants us to do. And yet, I wasn't really very clear how to go about it. And one day, the Lord did something that for me was a real lesson. And I believe that it was a lesson, that it was an incident that the Lord did, in many ways for the purpose of showing me something. It was after we'd come to Ann Arbor, maybe in the first month, or the second month. And while I was there, one day, I was going out of my apartment toward campus to talk to somebody. And as I was walking out of the apartment, I was just thinking of this very question. How are we led by the Holy Spirit? And as I was walking toward the campus, two thoughts occurred to me very distinctly. The first thought was that if the Holy Spirit is really leading us, then we ought to see more results from it. Now that sounds reasonable. But then the second thought that occurred to me was, but on the other hand, the Lord should be able to lead us to do something that we don't see any results from, because He wants to make use of that sometime in the future, and that we may not, in the immediate situation, see the results. Now that seems reasonable too. And I couldn't quite see exactly how they went together. And as I was walking toward the campus, I began to get a kind of a feeling, a certain sort of intuition, that what the Lord wanted me to do was to walk toward the Union, and at the Union to talk to somebody about Him. And I thought to myself, well, now that's interesting. I guess what I should do is to try it. So I started walking toward the Union. And as I was walking up the street, close to it, I began to wonder, well, what am I going to do? And just then, somebody started walking in front of me. And I just began to get the sense that this was the person that the Lord wanted me to talk to. And then the thought came to me, well, but I felt before that what the Lord wanted me to do was to talk to somebody in the Union. So I just prayed and I said, Lord, if this is the person you want me to talk to, have him go into the Union. And hardly had I finished the prayer when I said, that's interesting. And there I was, confronted with the thought of walking up to somebody that I didn't know in the middle of the Union with just this feeling that I ought to talk to him about the Lord. So I was walking a little bit behind him. What I decided to do was to pray to the Lord, and I said, Lord, what should I do now? A very common prayer I think we all have. And I felt that what the Lord was saying to me was, offer him a cup of coffee. Offer to buy him a cup of coffee. So I walked up to him, and I offered to buy him a cup of coffee. Well, it turned out that that was one of the more important things in the whole thing.